Welcome back, my friends. Welcome to another lecture where we can learn something new. So we have done the validation here. So if I go open up here, you can see that I've opened a couple of pages because I want to show you all this. But before, I'm logged in as my user, and if I submit it, I will create a token in the title. But you should know something about the Laravel, so makes it easy to protect your application from cross-site forgery. That called csrf. This is actually shorthand of this part. Now what we need to do, Laravel automatically generate this csrf token for each active user. And also you can, in our application, you can see in the meta tag below, we will talk about this one more, but in our method tag actually there is a csrf token, and actually that one we can use if we do, it's called xcsrf token. So this token is actually request header, so it's in our meta tag actually, but this is for when we can use JavaScript or Ajax, and we will not do it at this moment. But for our own protection, it's always good to add inside the form. And look at this type of form. This is the old school form where we will do this form as well, but I'm showing you how we can do it with the Laravel Collective. Now, one more thing about Laravel Collective, you can read as much as here, you can create the forms, you can play around with this one, and yeah, there are interesting things, and that's why I want you to know all of this different way of declaring the form, opening, closing, creating the fields inside. And that's why we are doing this, in order just to show you how we can implement a different way of not just the old-fashioned the form, but this one. Now I think I talked too much about the forms. I know everything, but in our application, where our form is, what we need to do, we need to use the blade syntax and include that at CS, here it is. So if I clicked here, so if you do, I'm going to show you one more thing. So if you put just CS and it stands for B, that will create that at symbol here. And mine is like this because I use something for blade syntaxing. So if you don't have it, install some extension. You already know how to do this. And also, if you're using some other editor, do whatever you do to have this highlighting in the blade syntax. And now, our application is super safe because we are doing this one. You're not going to see any difference here. If I just refresh and if I put, the token will be still there. Now, the title, we have the title. After this, we're gonna add more here, like text area where we can put a body or the message, but now at the moment it's enough. So we need to discuss about here in this lecture about relationships. And I'm talking about relationship between models. And this is very important. Why? Because at the moment, if you go to the database, if you go to the posts, you will see that the post only have the structure. We have ID, title, created it, updated it, and user has its own structure, ID, name. Now, we want to connect users and posts. For example, I just want here to have the user ID. That will mean that one user can have many posts, and the post can belong to that specific user. So means the relationship, if you took database courses before, if you're in uni, whatever you do, whatever programming languages you're doing, you will need, or database, sorry, you will talk about relationship between databases, between tables. In that table relationship we need to create, and it's super easy for our application. Why I'm saying it's super easy? Because we can just create that one in our models. So if I go in the app, so app, you don't need to go in HTTP. You have the post model here, and you have the users model. We will talk about this protected fillable. Don't worry about it at this stage. But in our post model, what we can do, we can create our relationship. So let's say ship with user model. How we can do this? This is very simple. In Laravel, you can say public function, just any normal function. I will call user, the name of this function will be user, and this function will return this belongs to, and here we can just say app, or you can use this one, app.user or /user, or you can call it user like this, class. And now if you have any problems, you can import that one here. There it is. Now it's imported. Also the same thing we can do, we can relate this post, because we are inside a post, we can relate this post. I'm just going to copy this one in our user. So I'm going to put it here, but I'm just going to change the name because I have a user model here. I don't want this one to be called user. I just want to relate with the post. So that's how we can do it. Or you can make it posts plural, because one user can have many posts, and posts can belong to one user. That's why it's singular here, the name of the function. Now with post model, very good. Now public function posts, but now here I'm not returning belongs to, but I'm going to say has many, and instead of user, I'm just going to say post class, and I will import this one just in case. Here it is on top. It's important. Use app posts. So that's pretty much it. The class is imported. Very good. So now I have this relationship, but our database migration, I'm just going to talk about this and I'm done. About database migration, if I go to the migrations here, if I go to the posts, and I see that only has big increments ID, I have the table, and this is actually not the ID from the user, it's an ID that will increment by itself, adding when we are saving to the database, right? Now what we can do here, we can add one column here, but we're not gonna do it like this. So there is one better way to create a new migration where we can add actually where we can add something. Now if you go through the documentations, remember that we talk about create, in here it's table. There are two options there. Now I just want to use PHP artisan like this, and you can make a more description. PHP artisan make migration add. So we're going to use this way of declaring things. So here it's an add votes to user table. We're not going to do this. We're going to say add user ID to posts. Here it is. It's saying here posts table. And you can also copy this if you want, but I'm not going to do, to posts table. And after that, we're going to say dash dash table equals which table? Post. You can even, I think it will work with the quotes, but let's put it like as it in the documentation, right? So I'm in 5.8. Let's see 6 if it's something changed. Not sure. No, nothing is changed. So I can create hit one, and this created migration, but it's still not finished. Okay, now it's finished. It took a little bit longer than I was expected. Now here it is. The last one is there. If you need, if your application is not showing, just refresh. Right, just refresh it. It should be there. Now here it is. So I have this table here saying schema table. If we look in the other migrations, we have create that name of the table, right? So we don't have this one. So let's compare this one to this one. Sorry, this one to, I just lost the other one, right? So this one to this one, they're different, right? This one is create the table, and this one we can alter that table. Now what we can do, actually we can do this next time. So we can add here the user ID, and we can drop that one if we want in a down function. So in up function, we will add this user ID here. In the down function, we will just drop it. But that will be for the other lecture. So now, for now, in order just to know how you can add another column into your already existing posts table, this is the way. PHP Artisan make migration, add user ID to posts table posts. Now this will create this migration, and when we run this migration, actually it will add another field here called user ID, but that will we haven't specified yet, right? So create user table. We're not gonna touch it here. We're not gonna add it. This, for example, if you want to add more things, and you can control this easily. You can drop and reverse roll back the last migration if you don't need this, right? You don't need to touch the already existing, sorry, not rows. You don't touch already existing posts table, sorry. You don't touch this table. You're just gonna touch the other table. So I was pointing to the rows table, but I always thinking about post table, because here we're gonna add another column into the posts table. Sorry about that, my mistake. Now next time we will do this, and we will work on our application, because we need to find a way how we can save this post under the current user, right? Because the user needs to save the post, and we need to know which user, the post for that user. We need to connect the user and the post. So I'm talking too much, and the video went again too long. Sorry about this. See you in the next lecture.